Hello, hello, and welcome back to the Crown Yourself podcast. I am your host, Kimberly Spencer, and I'm so honored this week to be joined with one of my most amazing clients. She is an extraordinary astrologer. She has been dedicating and studying astrology for 30 years. And recently she came into my world via a very good friend of mine, my sister from another mister, who you have heard if you are an OG listener to this podcast, meaning Heather Harris, the amazing massage therapist. She was on back in episode 30. That was over 200 episodes ago. But Heather introduced Mara to me and brought her into my world, and I am so honored that she did. Mara, I have had the honor of seeing her grow her business as an astrologer and really pursue and lean into this gift that she has in being able to see and understand how astrology works. And if you're new to astrology, or if you're like, that's some woo-woo crap and it's, I'm not sure about that. All I have to say is, I think it was JP Morgan. He said, millionaires follow trends, billionaires follow astrology. And when you can understand how astrology works and this ancient tool that we have available, and with that Mara is going to go into this episode, we can really leverage this for our benefit, not just necessarily to predict, but to understand our relationships, to understand our relationship to our bodies, our relationship to our business, and how to better flow and operate in flow with our lives.
Before we dive in, let me tell you about the book that started a podcasting revolution, Make Every Podcast Want You. It is not just a bestseller, it is a 2-time gold medalist, baby. This book is your ultimate guide to landing dream podcast interviews, building authority authentically, and making your voice the one they remember. If you've got a message and a mission, this is your mic drop moment. Grab your copy today in the link below and step into the spotlight that you were born for.
Welcome to the Crown Yourself podcast, where together we build your empire and transform your subconscious stories about what's possible for your business, body, and life. I'm your host, Kimberly Spencer, founder of CrownYourself.com, and I'm a master mindset coach, best-selling author, TEDx speaker, known to my clients as a game changer. Each week, you get the conscious leadership strategies you need to help you reign with courage, clarity, and confidence so that you too can make the income and impact you deserve. Imagine this podcast as your royal invitation to step into your full potential and reign in your divine purpose. Your sovereignty starts here, and your reign is now. So, Mara, welcome to the Crown Yourself podcast.
Thank you, Kim. I'm so excited to be here. And thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for all your amazing coaching. And yeah, just big thank you.
Oh my gosh, I'm so honored to have you here. So first, I want to dive into the importance of astrology, because I know there's still some naysayers out there who are not sure of this ancient tool. And I'm like, astrology is literally in the Bible. So why astrology? What called you to this profession? What called you into the interest of understanding our relationships with the planets and stars?
So what got me into it was actually back when I was in junior high school. We had the assignment to do a term paper on any subject we wanted. And I thought disproving astrology, because I did not believe in it at the time, would be a great, easy topic. And as I looked at it and saw there's more than just the sun sign, and 3 different things sound like me because, yes, my son's in Virgo, but it's right next to, like, the next day it turned into Libra. And Scorpio sounds like me because I have 3 planets in Scorpio, and Taurus sounds like me because it's my moon, and Cancer sounds like me because it's my ascendant. It's like, okay, that's why different things sound like you. And as I learned more about it, not just are there more details than just, hey, there's your sun, but also if you get the data wrong, just like when you're looking at any analytics for anything, Google Analytics or big companies looking at analytics, then it's not going to be accurate. So like say, if you get the time wrong, it's not going to be as accurate as if you get the time correct. If you get the year wrong, which looking at it in junior high, high school, college, you pretty much know somebody's probably going to be 1 year or the next, because those are the people in that grade, then it's going to be even less accurate. So, as Virgo sun with multiple planets in Virgo, I care about accuracy.
Yep.
So, that's what started convincing me. And when I learn a new astrology technique, I test it against the people I know and then also try with strangers to see, or people I'm just meeting to see if it is accurate for them.
Yeah, I think what blew my mind recently was I've been studying astrology on the periphery with my mentor in esoteric sciences for 2.5 years now. And there were a couple instances where I was like, I had this intuitive nudge, like the day we moved. And it was just an intuitive nudge. And she was like, oh, that's when this planet is doing this planet thing. She's like, you understand it, but like embodied versus like I don't like I can kind of look at a chart, but I don't understand it like you understand it. But just recently, as Pluto shifted direct into Aquarius, Spike, my husband, got two major investment deals just back to back, and Aquarius is in his second house of money and finances, and I was like, here it is, here it is. Yep.
Yeah, so he has Pluto going through a second house of finances. So there will be transformation for him with his finances. And this is going to be for a long time.
Yep, for the next 20 years. And I have Pluto going through my health and my relationship with my in my seventh house. So, which is very interesting because I'm like, oh, seventh house, it's a part of like marriage, right?
Yeah. Seventh house marriage partnership, one-on-one relationship. So
Mhm.
it doesn't have to be just romantic. It can be business partnerships. It can be romantic, but anyone where you have a really great one-on-one relationship. It could even be best friends, like somebody that's a long-term one-on-one relationship. If it's short, then it's more fifth house. If it's long-term, that's more seventh.
And I just love how in learning and in studying this tool, it's not to use it almost as an excuse because I do see people do that where they're like, oh, I'm a Aries, so I'm always going to, start fights or something. I'm like, no, not necessarily. But being able to honor those aspects because we have all
Yeah.
aspects in us. So, how do we lean into understanding how our sun sign, how our ascendant, how our moon plays into our lives to better understand how these are aspects of ourselves that we can highlight as a way to create greater alignment in how we operate?
For example, with your moon, that's your emotions. And wherever your moon sign is, if you do things like that, that's going to feed you emotionally. So, for example, because I have your chart up, your moon in Sag, when you do things that are fun and party and the truth, then that feeds you emotionally. And also, your moon is in the fourth house. So, that's very home and family. And of course, you're all about your kids and your family, and that feeds you emotionally.
Mhm.
So you look to your moon to see, and when you're having a bad day, if you do things that are your moon sign, it'll help.
Really? I've never heard that before. So, you do things that lean into your moon sign. So, let's say Sag is in my moon sign. So, leaning into doing more fun things.
Yeah, if you're having a bad day, do something fun. Do something with your family. Do something where it's all about the truth. Do something where it's about learning. Do something fiery.
Ooh, that sounds like fun. See, that sounds like fun. I'm going to lean into that. But that's such a powerful tool to be able to see, okay, well, my moon sign. So what if your moon sign is in, let's say, Virgo? What would
So
then?
if you're Totally. Yeah. So if your moon sign is in Virgo, and we can quickly go around all the signs for a
Yeah,
second, so we can
yeah,
go
I think that'd
cover
be great.
everybody's. So if it's in Virgo, if you lean into helping somebody, that's going to fill you up. If you lean into making something exactly the way you want it, if you lean into doing something for your health. So those are different. If you analyze something, that might kind of feed you. if you work on all the details of something, that might feed you. So let's start at the beginning. If you have an Aries moon, Aries also fire sign, doing something fiery, doing something where you're being like you're taking action. And then with Taurus, if you, I'm a Taurus moon, so this is like the easiest one for me. If you eat something yummy, that's one of your go tos. If you do something that's physical comfort and you're something that's soft and cuddly and something that makes you feel more secure, then that's Taurus. Gemini, talk it out. Don't do just one thing, do two. And then Cancer, do something with your home, your family, and maybe go to water. And then fire signs, if your moon's in a fire sign, do something fiery. So Leo, do something where you get to be the center of attention. Do something with kids. Do something again that's fiery and maybe a little generous. Then when we go to, we talked about Virgo, Libra, find something beautiful. And this is, again, your moon sign, not your sun sign. So you're not doing your sun sign when you have a bad day, you're doing your moon sign.
That's
So
moon.
Libra, yeah. Do something where you get to experience something beautiful, something artistic. And Scorpio, go deep and do something transformative. Sagittarius, we talked about first. Aquarius, do something unusual, unique, something that's just like different and uniquely you. And then Pisces, water, take a bath, take a shower, let yourself have a good cry, go sleep, just be gentle with your emotions, maybe do something spiritual.
I love how all of these have such unique aspects, but like leaning into, I was like, oh, when I have a bad day, I do like what brings me out is if I do something fun or if I'm heightened emotions, which happens, postpartum pregnancy hormones, like just those heightened emotions. I'm like, if I do something fun or I go play tea party with my kids or just watch them play outside and like get to be in that space of listening to the birds, like it lights me up rather than sitting in those emotions. And I think where I see a lot of people define themselves is in their sun sign. And I'd love to know your thoughts on this, an interesting perspective. That your sun sign is what you're moving toward in this lifetime. Like you are trying to become more of your sun sign. Perhaps in a past life you were ascendant and now you are leaning into, or you were your moon. I think it was astrologer said you were your moon. And in order to succeed in this life, you become your sun. Would you agree with that? Or how can we perceive the sun sign and in relationship to the ascendant?
So those are actually two different questions because I've always heard that you're going, and I do Western astrology, not Eastern, not Vedic.
Mhm.
So in Western astrology, you're actually going more towards your North Node, which is which is a data point that's like calculated having to do with the sun and moon.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it could be the sun as well. I haven't researched that, like the sun and the moon, but the north node is where you're going towards in your lifetime. And the south node is where you're coming from, your past lives, if you believe in that. And south node also, if you do that, that also feeds you on a bad day or just a normal day, but you want to go towards your north node. So, for example, for you, your north node is in Aries. So you want to be going in this lifetime towards being more independent, more like towards yourself. And you have a packed first house, which makes it easy for you to go towards that.
It's a very packed house.
Yeah.
There's a lot
Yeah. You have
of
like,
gold in that first house.
yeah. Yeah. You're 4 planets in there. And if you have 3 or more planets in a sign or in a house, that's called a stellium. And that makes it super important to you.
How do you play with that? Like in your career or in your health, depending upon what house it's playing in, you have that packed first house, but or packed house. How do you play with that in terms of living out in the day to day?
So, whatever house you have will be a super big part of your life. Now, that's not to say if something is empty, it's not a part of your life. It's just not like always the focus. So, It's interesting because we said beforehand we talk about career, and for career, you actually only have Chiron in your 10th house. And Chiron is part of why you're helping people deal with their wounds and working towards it and working through it. And you're talking to them about it because your Chiron is in Gemini. So that's why it's a lot of communication and talking.
And this is what's so powerful about just being able to understand astrology and how it plays into our lives. What were some significant moments where you were like, that was astrology, and where you leveraged it to be an asset for you, whether it was in your marriage or uh with your daughter or in career? How have you leveraged astrology for yourself?
I actually chose my wedding date based on astrology.
I love it.
So my husband gave me certain criteria for, okay, it has to be on a weekend. It can't be during his season where he's crazy busy at work. And yeah, I think those were the two kind of qualifiers. And it's interesting because we were looking in 2017, yeah, we got engaged in 2017. I knew I wanted at least a year to plan. So we were looking 2018, 2019, 2020. And when I elected dates in 2020, I was like, no, all of these are bad dates to get married. We cannot have it in 2020
Gosh.
because it's going to be a nightmare to get married in 2020. Oh, I was like, we can't. And we chose something. April Elliott Kent from Big Sky Astrology. She had something on her website that said, if you're know enough about astrology, you can choose your own date. And I don't think she will choose dates for people anymore, but I used her tool to choose my wedding date. And it was such a good date that my astrology teacher couldn't come because she already had 3 weddings that day. So obviously we're still married, and it helped our relationship because the date of your wedding talks a lot about the relationship you'll have after getting married.
I'm so fascinated by that. I'm like, I got married on October 4th, 2014. I wonder what that means. Oh yeah, it'll all be absolutely necessary. That'd be so interesting. And I think that there's so much value in being able to understand. I think a lot of times where astrology can go awry, and correct me if I'm wrong, is when it is used solely as a predictive tool rather than in practice. You can predict, but how do you play with that energy? Because a lot of people want to use it to predict the future. Yes, 2027 looking like a pretty big year for the world. And same with some other events happening in 2026 and whatnot. 2030. Yeah. 2030 is a very interesting year. And all in all, every astrologer that I have talked to has said, the next 5 years, strap in. Just strap in, prepare to really get to know yourself and get to know your values. But how can we operate with astrology without leaning into the fear?
So with astrology, it's not saying it's going to be one specific way. You have choices. So there's always multiple ways that any aspect can present itself. And there's always higher road and lower road, and sometimes roads in between. And it's higher. And if you know something in advance, it's almost like a weather report. It's saying, okay, here's the percent chance it's going to rain. And so don't get caught in the rain, bring your umbrella. And astrology is the same kind of way. Mercury retrograde, instead of oh my God, I'm going to have all these transit issues, just double, triple check and leave yourself extra time. So if there are some transit issues, you've taken into account, and that's good advice for all the time, not just Mercury retrograde. So it doesn't hurt to double, triple check your travel plans and leave extra time. So why not?
Yeah, and I think double checking contracts and making sure being able to, because I see so many people make excuses for Mercury in retrograde, especially those getting started in business who are like, oh, I can't make sales during Mercury in retrograde. So you're like
Oh my
leaving
God.
6 weeks out of sales, of potential sales because a planet? Like, no, just double check your contracts, make sure that you are working with people who are aligned with your values and ensure that you got your T's crossed, I's dotted. Yeah.
And if you do sign during a Mercury retrograde, just know it's something where you're going to revisit every 3 months, which is fine because sometimes, like, maybe that client returns every 3 months. Maybe you have something where you get to improve it every 3 months. So there's always an upside. And also, Mercury retrograde, it's not all bad stuff. It's great for reconnecting. It's great for research. So everything has like a positive side that you can go to.
I love that because I think that there is a lot of use sometimes on the interwebs and social media with people using it as like a default or as an excuse or blaming the planets. And I like that there's one meme that I just love that Mercury's like, stop blaming me. Like, stop blaming for your actions. And instead, really taking ownership. So, how can we learn to take ownership of our charts and interact with these aspects of us?
Learning about it more because the more you know about something, the more you can use it in a positive way. Yeah, knowledge is power kind of thing.
What is the one planet that you see getting the worst rap?
There are certain planets that are called malefics that tend to get bad raps. I think Saturn probably has the worst rap,
Yeah.
but Saturn can, like, it doesn't have to be hard. It can be you're organized. It can be your career going, okay, you have Saturn in your fourth house. So you're working from home and you're working a lot with people who have families. And Saturn and Sag, you're bringing fun and truth to people. Yeah.
I love that. I also live on my Saturn line in astrocartography. So discipline, like if I'm at home, and I'm not disciplined with my actions, I feel it. Like I really feel it. And it makes me upset. Like it makes me really upset with being disciplined because of that relationship. I think the thing is like the planets don't have control over you. It's a everything in life is a relationship. And as I tell my mom who is an astro skeptic, I said you may not believe in astrology, but astrology believes in you because at one matter was condensed and connected. So we all have a relationship with everything in this holographic universe that we live in. So when you talk about like you said maleficent planets, like Maleficent Disney character?
Well, it's that there are some that are benefics, which are the ones that are generally good, like the sun and Jupiter. And there are some that are malefics. So not maleficent, malefic. And those are the ones where people tend to look at the negative side of them more, but every planet has a positive side. So Saturn keeps you organized. Saturn is where you can just buckle down and do the hard work. Saturn is, like you said, discipline
Mhm.
and career. So, and then Uranus also has a reputation as a malefic. And they're yeah, it can be unpredictable, but that doesn't mean bad. It just means whatever you think it is, it's probably something different. So, like, if you're exploring the bad stuff with it, it's probably not going to be that. And it can be unique and it can be all of the things that are like ahead of their time and technology. So it's not necessarily bad. It's just different and unique. And Pluto also sometimes gets a bad rap as a malefic because, yeah, it can be really, I don't know if you could say hellish on here, but it has that reputation of being just like, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Pluto going into Aquarius, we've heard about the age of Aquarius for years, and every time Pluto has been in Aquarius, there's always been a period of revolution, like that American
Mhm.
French Revolution. Like, there's a serious amount of revolution happening, and there's a fear around that.
Actually, we went into the age of Aquarius like back when the internet was getting big, when Facebook was getting big, because the age of Aquarius is lots of technology. You have 3 zillion friends that you don't know very well. Hello, Facebook friends. Hello, Instagram. Hello, like WhatsApp and Snapchat and all those things. And
So much.
being able to connect with people from you're in different countries, but you can do a Zoom call and it works. So that's the age of Aquarius.
Yeah. Yeah. And there's a lot of fear, I think, of tech enslavement in a way of it being used for malicious reasons. And I think it's holding that desire for the light, that desire to see the positive aspects, that desire to see the benefit of like, I mean, holy crap, I did a whole research in parasitic causes of a genetic disorder because of ChatGPT, like a rabbit hole I never would have gone down had it not been for a family member. And the tech was available so that I could ask the questions. And I think that that's when we look at these relationships that we have, whether it's with the planets or with tech or structures in society, astrology can be a really powerful tool for leveraging and seeing how to play with it.
And help you learn, and it can give you information. And it's not saying you will do XYZ. It's saying there is an opportunity to do XYZ.
Mm. I think that is key in all things. Where have you seen and seized on those astrological opportunities aside from your wedding date?
Mm. See, knew about the time that I started my business that I had a lot of planets going over my MC, which has to do with career. So doing a career change at that point made all the sense in the world. So
You've wanted to have a business for a long time. I mean, you were in corporate doing data analytics at major companies for quite some time, and you're very good at it.
yeah, I was doing advanced analytics, so multivariate regression models and lots of stats, telling big companies, okay, here's how effective and efficient your marketing is. Here's your return on investment. Here's where you should put your advertising dollars, your marketing dollars for over 20 years. And because I have a Taurus moon, I liked the stability. And because I'm a Virgo, I liked analyzing and helping people. But I wanted to help people in a way where I wasn't just helping big companies make more money. I wanted to help people in a significant way where I was helping to transform their lives for the better and helping with relationships and helping with children and helping people do that self-work to find a relationship where it feeds their soul and helping people in a more personal way and not just helping companies make more money.
And I think the great thing is, though, that you've been able to help clients look at even sales dates and be able to look at through leveraging this tool and your natural Virgo analytical nature, you now get to analyze charts in the most detailed, beautiful expertise way that allows you to do exactly that and serve and help, the little guy make some more money and be able to lean into those career opportunities or sales opportunities or launch opportunities that are presented through the interactive relationship that we have with astrology.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I had a client where she had this program that she had launched, and she was wondering when were good dates to have those sales conversations and fill up the program. So I looked at her transits, which is when you're comparing your chart to the chart of what's going on right now. And for the time from the present until the month that the program was going live, and progressions, which is kind of your chart. You always have your natal chart, but you can also look at the day after and say, okay, that year that you can kind of move the chart to where you are now and look at solar arcs, which is moving 1 degree for every year as well. What are the ones where she's going to have the best communication, where there's going to be great ability to get money, where things are just positive and lucky and expansive? And where do you have all three of them? Where do you just have two? Where do you have one? And giving her the list. And instead of just saying, here are Venus or Jupiter or Mercury, here's where you will be good at certain things. Here's where you have all. Here's where you have these two. Here's where you have the other two. Here's where you have just one of them. And the sales that she's made, at least last we checked in, were all during the dates that I gave her, which kind of was like, oh, that's so cool.
That's so
And
cool. Oh my gosh. I love it.
something else that I haven't monetized yet, but I did for myself a long time ago, was before I met my husband. I looked at dates that I could potentially meet somebody that would be a serious relationship. And I looked at, okay, here's all my past relationships. Did they fall on those dates? And the answer was always yes. So I looked at when I'd have that again, and was really disappointed that wasn't for like 2 or 3 years. But then at the next time that it was when I met my next significant relationship. And yeah, so that was cool.
And that's why, like, leveraging and working with an expert like you who's been studying this for 30 years. Because I mean, like, if you look at a chart, I know when I first started exploring astrology, I would look at a chart and be like, oh my God, this is like gobbledygook. This is like ancient hieroglyphics. Like, I'm not even sure what I'm looking at. And working with an expert like you, which I thought would be fun to show, not just tell. Because as many of you know, if you've been listening to this podcast long enough, since the dawn of Make Every Podcast Want You and that book, I have seen just a massive shift in the industry of business in general, no matter, especially service-based entrepreneurs, in the value of showing what they do rather than just like, here, let me tell you about how awesome it is. Because when you can see it actually in front of you and how it's actually interplays and how it can work, then you can see how it could be potentially working for you. Mara has pulled up my chart. And one of the things that I loved about before we started working together was she asked for my date, time of birth, location of birth, and all that. And I was like, cool. I know you're an astrologer, so I'm totally fine. But she overlapped our charts to see like how we were compatible in relationship as a coach and a client. And I think that that's such a cool way to be able to guide decision making, and to give valid information that is literally imprinted in who you are and who, you know, the creator created you to be in this lifetime, and showing that. So I would love to see, Mara, like what you saw both from our chart predictively and then what you experience through our working relationship. Also, just to give you a heads up, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, this is definitely an episode to go and watch on YouTube, because this episode does have a visual element and it will help to see, not just to listen and hear.
Okay, so first I want to cover the things that I was talking about earlier. So this little thing that looks a little like a key, that's Chiron. And the symbol that looks a little like the numeric 2 is Gemini in the 10th house of career. So we are talking about that earlier, with you helping people in your career through talking, which is the Gemini.
Okay.
And something about your chart that I want to dive into, instead of like diving into all the things we already covered, is you have not just a grand trine, which is this big triangle right here that's in blue, but you also have something called a kite, which is, see how there's this red line that kind of goes from the thing
Yeah.
that looks like a 4 is Jupiter in your 9th house of kind of higher learning and travel and learning and teaching, to Pluto, which is this one here in your third house of communication. So when you communicate, you go deep, you help people transform. And it's playing off of Jupiter, which is expansive, and it's one of the lucky ones in teaching. And Jupiter's part of this grand trine. So it being a kite means that you take action. People with grand trines in their chart, sometimes they take action, sometimes they don't, depends on what's going on. But for you, it's an always thing because you always have Pluto right there activating it. And
Interesting.
And your grand trine is in fire. So it's a very creative grand trine and very fiery, literally. And it's with your, pardon?
I said that tracks.
And it's with your ascendant, which is who you appear to the world to be. It's like your sun is more your inner self, your ascendant, which is this arrow right here, is who you appear to be. So you have this like where your ascendant is Leo. So you care about how you look. You make sure you present yourself well, and that you're good at. Like that's probably why you had all the acting stuff going on in your life earlier.
The crown, the giant tiger in the background, the
Yeah.
royal
And the crown yourself.
crown yourself. Yeah, yeah.
And I think part of the reason why you have multiple things going on, even though in your career, even though Gemini isn't on your MC, which is this arrow right here, it is a large part of your 10th house.
Okay.
So you have multiple things, but you also care about security in your career.
Yeah, when I saw where Gemini was, I was like, oh, that makes sense as to why I've always had two businesses. Always, always, consistently. Um, Pilates and screenwriting, e-commerce and Pilates, crown yourself and Pilates, and then parenting for like a short minute. And then I was like, no, I'm going to start a second business. So it completely tracks. And I think that that's one of the things with business coaching in general and any form of coaching, guidance, relationship coaching is when astrology is leveraged into it, or you have a knowledge of who you are and how you are because of astrology, certain advice that works for other people will not work for you. And that's why when working with any coach, relationship coach, business coach, health coach, really having an awareness of how you are divinely and innately built as you are is so important. So coming to someone like Mara to get a reading, to get clarity on why you do what you do or who you are can be so valuable, because then you can take that information and then apply it and see, okay, this is why I always have two businesses. This is why I'm always doing multiple things. Or saying this is why I'm solely focused on the one thing and keep the one thing. And that's right for some people. It may not be right for you.
Yeah, everyone's chart is pretty unique. And when you have twins, then they will be very similar because born on the same day. But yeah, the time will make a difference because the ascendant and MC, which is career, will change every 4 minutes, I believe it is.
Ooh.
So,
Unless you pop them out really fast.
yeah.
So I think, Mara, like with seeing all of the triangles, and I do see the kite on it, and that very packed first house. Ooh, it's crowded. Looking at that, how do you look at it and then say, okay, well, this is in practice. So I have a very packed first house. I have a career where I tend to have multiple things at play. What aspect of the chart would say, like, lean more into these pieces of who you are, these pieces of who you were, innately created to be?
Part of the chart says lean into who you are. When you go through the different houses, it'll tell you the different areas that you're leading in. So, like, say, the 11th house of friends and community, you want to be at home, you want to feel really comfortable with your community. Or with your packed fourth house, that home and family is super important to you, and you need to organize. Things come up that are unexpected and unusual, and your moon's there. So it's crazy important to you. And right now, I have some of the asteroids turned on. So we have Ceres there, which is about nurturing. So you care about nurturing your family. And things that are empty, it doesn't mean it's not important. It's like, for example, the one on one partnerships in your marriage. Yes, it's important, totally. But it's not always the main focus. And sometimes it comes into focus and sometimes not. So, so yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I love that response because it's reflective of my own experience with my husband. Like, of course, my husband is important, but it was also important to choose the right husband. Didn't require to have all attention all the time, all the things where that there was that level of demand because that makes sense as to why my relationship with my ex didn't work out. Because of that connection, because of that need to have a lot of attention placed on the relationship, whereas I trust my husband trusts me, and we have a really amazing partnership. I would like to know, like, with seeing how your chart and mine overlapped in how our working relationship develops, and what your experience was of how accurate it was in the relationship as we coach together.
So, see how there's that thing that looks like a moon that says 23, and then the arrow is pointing towards 24. And that means that my moon is right on your MC. So, my emotions and how I am a mom has so much to do with your career. And so it's like, okay, that's cool and interesting. And your north node of fate and destiny is right on my MC having to do with career. So, so I was like, okay, that's so cool. You're part of what you're doing is like where you're going in life is exactly where I'm going in my career. And that speaks well to us having working on my career together.
And I think that that was something when you pointed that out, um, and just seeing how our relationship has evolved, and I love that you pointed out, like, the relationship that you have with your daughter, because you are just such an amazing mom. You're so focused on your amazing daughter, and your relationship with her had to be very integrated with your career. And to be able to be that example for her is, I know, is really important for you. And that was just something I intuitively know, but also knew from us working together. But it also is literally written in the stars.
Yeah. Yeah, it literally is. And part of the reason I changed career was that when you're working in the advanced analytics or you're working in an ad agency, it's not 40 hours. It's a lot more than that. And you're not going to have the kind of time that you might want for your child. And you have to pick and choose where you're there for them and where you're not because your career takes so much time. And I wanted a career where I could really help people and really dive 100% into it. Because, like, my Pluto, it's in Libra, I care about fairness and going deep in terms of being fair. And I have a lot of Scorpio, so I want to go deep, but I also want to make sure that I have time for my daughter.
Yeah. And especially with that Libra and that seeking of justice and fairness and equity. And I know those are key core values that you imbued into your company as you've grown it. And in how you show up and how you support and serve people, you lead with such generosity and kindness. That's something I love seeing in your shift from corporate into building your own business. Like I said, when we first started working together, I said the hardest part about building your own business is you can do anything. You literally have the freedom to choose any value of how you want to create it. So what do you actually want to create, and really focusing and honing in on those values of fairness and equity and kindness were so crucial for how to set up even just your sales process.
Because if it's not going to help somebody, then I don't want to do it. If it's something that isn't meaningful to somebody, to the client, it's not worth doing.
In building your business, because this has been something that you've wanted to do for a long time, what has been the most rewarding thing that you've experienced in the process over the past year?
The most rewarding has been a project that never would have occurred to me except somebody asked for it. There was a potential client who became a client who knew that I do handmade, very highly personalized cards for fun, like birthday cards and that kind of thing. And so he asked, could I create a physical chart as artwork for a new mom or new parents? And I was like, yes, but it has to be highly customized. It has to be something where it's super specific for this particular client and the interpretation. So, if it's written, there has to be questions that I'm specifically answering that they care about, not just a general report, but something that's bespoke for that particular person answering their questions, as well as the general things that just kind of occur to me and are jumping out at me in the child's chart. And creating that and making sure it was the right colors and the right feel and the right intention. So putting in the magical energy that they chose. And in this particular instance, it was for secure attachment. So the child would have those great relationships and also trusting yourself. And so that the parents would trust themselves and the child would trust themselves. So putting that in, and actually, I had a subtle frame of the chart that said, trust yourself.
Nicely organized.
Okay. And now let me share, and then I will make it big. Share screen. Here we go. Share. And now let's make it big. Oh, yay. Now I can see you and that as well.
It is beautiful. The chart art
Yeah. So
looks like a plate. Like it looks like a really beautiful ceramic plate that you put it on. I know you.
well, this is only actually part of it, because to show it to people virtually, uh, the chart itself, so the center of it, those are the aspects we were looking at earlier. And these are the houses. And it's not showing the entire chart because that's more confidential, but it's showing part of the chart. And you can kind of see the trust yourself in the background.
Yeah.
And the colors that they chose were pink and cream. So you can kind of see the pink and cream. And this is a little bit of the background. And then I had a little made by Mara thing as instead of signature. And this is the entirety of it. And it looks much better in person.
I think
So, yeah. So, this is like the grid that we're looking at. And then they'll be kind of showing, okay, if it's for a newborn, then their name, or if it's doing it for a wedding present or a big anniversary or a big birthday or like a holiday gift or something, then the name there, and then the birthday or the wedding date if it's for a wedding or a couple's anniversary, that kind of thing. So
amazing. Amazing. I think the thing that I love about this project, one is it's so uniquely you. You're so naturally creative. You love to sew your own clothes. Like you are so tactile and you love to build things of beauty. And it's something different than other astrologers put out there. And there's a bajillion astrologers. And yet we always are looking as a business owner, is like, what is that thing that makes me unique in what I do and how I do it? And how can I leverage that to serve others and support others? And this came out of the blue, but yet it was so aligned with so many aspects of what you are inherently good at and love to create.
Yeah, something I noticed as I have kind of continued to grow my business, that one of the most fun things is when somebody has an idea of what they want. And I think, how can I make this possible? So, for example, I was talking to this guy who has a business that he's had for a long time. He wanted to show some client appreciation and is creating this party that might be around the holidays, and like, oh, maybe you can be the astrologer there. And it's like, yeah, I love doing mini readings for somebody. And it's something that I've done for fun for years. And having people that are just back to back coming and doing readings, it is something that I have done for fun many, many times, and just like, "Oh, yeah, I wanna give you something nice. Let me give you a mini reading." And, uh, this other person that really, really wants to he just got divorced a few years ago and knows that he wants to be in a serious committed relationship, and knows he has to put in the work so that his next relationship is a secure attachment that lasts the rest of his life. And the woman's a good person for his son, but he couldn't get to my price point. So it's like, okay, let me think of a way to have a lower price point so it works with his budget and also respects my time. So doing something where, like, you have those people leaving voice messages for you and texts, and going, okay, you can leave X amount. Like, if you're leaving 3 voice messages a week, then you get to have 5 minutes per message, and then I respond. Or if you want to leave like 5 per week, then maybe it's like 1 or 2 minutes, and then I respond, so that, and the responses will be as long as needed from whatever the question is. So it's very targeted for helping with the issue. So, yeah, creating different things based on what people need and want, that's fun. And then it becomes a new offering.
What's been the hardest part about pivoting from doing something that you love, that you're so good at for fun, into charging for it?
The hardest part is feeling comfortable charging for it, because, like, while getting the confirmation when I finally handed my client the finished product of, yes, this was even better in person and exactly what he wanted to give. But until then, I was like, am I really doing something that's good enough? And that's my own baggage that I've worked on. And intellectually, I knew, okay, here's the amount of time that I'm charging for, and then I'm doing more than what I'm actually charging for. But is it enough? And telling myself, like, yes, it is. But, like, there's always that voice in the back of my head that I have to talk to and say, no, it's okay.
Yeah, it gets quieter over time, but especially since you like started in corporate, it as we've talked about many times, it's like that stripping away of equating time to dollars, because it's such a program of every hour equals X amount
Right.
of pay, versus the transformation that can happen and how sales can happen quick and automatic, and when you're sleeping and when you're walking out with your kids, and yet suddenly here it is. Here's the magic that happens when you have your own business and have set your own terms. What would you say did you love about your experience with coaching, and what inspired you to reach out and start coaching, aside from an amazing recommendation from our mutual friend?
So, what inspired me to start coaching with you specifically, or like knowing I needed a business coach, was that, and we talked about this in the very beginning of working together, was knowing, okay, there are all these things that I've researched. I don't know which one I should do first. I don't know how to choose between them. And I know I need an expert to help me. And why I wanted to coach people is that one of my favorite things in advanced analytics was helping people get to where they needed to be. So I became a manager of people back in like, it was 2004, 2006, something like that.
You've been in leadership for a long time.
Yeah. And so helping people when they're struggling with an issue, go, okay, what is the issue? How can we get you from where you are to where you want to be? And let's keep plugging away at it until you are there. And being that sounding board, helping them brainstorm, seeing, okay, here's the work that you need to get done. Let's help you get it done in a way where you're happy. And one of my favorite things, like with friends, is when they're in a relationship, going, okay, let me help you work through this. Or if they're not in a relationship, let me help you figure out, here's your profile and how it tips from that I learned from online dating from having something cats. It's not calling in the one online, but it's something like that. And all the classes that I took to meet my husband and distilling that down for people so that they can make sure, like, for example, from Catherine Woodward Thomas calling in the one, okay, whatever you're not giving yourself, that's what you're not getting in a relationship. So if you're not meeting your own needs, chances are your partner won't do that either because unconsciously they see, oh, you're not doing that. So I don't need to either. And it's not a conscious thing, but if you become conscious of what you're not giving yourself and you start to give it to yourself, then, like, if you're not in a relationship, the next partner will unconsciously see you are giving that to yourself. And now they know they need to give it to you. Now, this is not a conscious thing. This
Yeah.
is like, yeah.
And I love how you layer in astrology into the dynamics of relationships, whether it is the relationship that like someone has with their career or someone has with their business, like you did with your client with finding those ideal sales dates, and then or whether it's their relationship that they have with their partner or their kids, and creating these beautiful works of art for that, through that, and the relationships themselves become a beautiful work of art, leveraging this tool that you have mastered and studied. So, Mara, I would love to pivot into a little bit of rapid fire if you're ready.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. What female character would you want to be in a book or a movie, and why?
Would want to be, ooh, I hadn't prepped this one, but the things that first came to mind were either Anna Green Gables, because she is somebody who could put herself out there. She has that relationship, which I have and spent so much time making sure I could get. She has that best friend. She's somebody who owns her emotions. And then the second thing that came to mind was Katniss Everdeen, not because I'd want to be in the Hunger Games, but I love her
Please.
loyalty and I love how she is a leader and really like helping the underdog and helping all the people of Panam that aren't in these like rich places get to where they need to be.
Mm-hmm. Second question. What human, alive or alive and in their time, would you want to trade places with just for a day to experience the world as they have experienced it? Anyone in history?
I would want to trade places with Einstein so I could live in his brain for a while.
Yeah.
Because being able to see the world as he saw it, oh, it'd be so cool with like that intellect and that also, uh, like, imagine.
Yes. Yes. What do you define to be your mindset routine for a thriving, healthy business mindset?
So, mindset routine is something that you and your husband kind of helped put into my life. Is that when I am putting things that are fun into it, when I am reminding myself how I get myself to feel like I'm shining. That helps so much. And just making sure I'm deeply listening to the person and also thinking about the questions that they're asking so I can provide a thoughtful answer that can be helpful.
What do you define to be your queendom?
Queendom would be astrology and also giving unique, bespoke solutions to what people need. Because I don't like doing cookie cutter. I
No.
like doing things that are specific to the person. So even if, like, yes, I have offerings that are uh, 1 hour sessions, hour and a half sessions, packages, doing parties and these specific, the chart art that we were talking about
But
and the sales tool. But it's also fun to come up with specific things specifically for that person. And that's just exciting.
and
And also making sure that whatever I'm giving them, if it is a offering from before that I've already created, that it's exactly what they need. Because if it's not going to feel good.
yeah. And I think the beautiful thing is in what you do in your offerings, each one with each person gets to be a unique experience because it's a different person and it's a different chart every time.
Yeah.
Lastly, how do you crown yourself?
I crown myself by being a good role model for my daughter and making sure that at least most of the time I'm putting myself in a place where if she tried to be like me, I'd be proud of her. And I mean, I'm not perfect at it at all. I'm frequently going, okay, I didn't quite get where I wanted to be, but I'm also hard on myself, but try to not be as hard on myself as I used to be. So
You've been really amazing at giving yourself grace and being and really focusing on how amazing of a mom you are because you care so much. Like I know how deeply you care about your daughter and seeing the role model that you are becoming and being the woman who is moving forward and creating a business that maybe one day your daughter gets to be a part of is something that I'm so excited to see as you develop and grow out of this first year of being in business for yourself. So, as always, my fellow sovereigns, we got to know where to find Mara. If you love this episode and you're like, oh my gosh, I need to understand better, like how to understand me, how to understand how to approach this next year as we lean into 2026. So being able to see how do we navigate these challenging times that yes, astrologers, there's a lot of predictive astrology on the interwebs, especially on Instagram. It's saying the next 5 years are very complicated. And how can you still lean into being all the best aspects of you created for this time to be all of you? Mara is the person to contact. Her link below to book a 30-minute session just to get to know her. If you love this episode, make sure that you jump in and grab a spot on her calendar because I highly, highly recommend leveraging it as a predictive tool that you can also put into practice. Is there anything else you want to say about your 30-minute consult?
30-minute consult, if you give me your chart info beforehand, which is the day, month, and year you were born, the time you were born, if you know it. And if you have an approximate time, let me know that it's approximate. If you don't have a time, then I can do a chart without the time. It just won't be as accurate. And also the city and state you were born, if it's in the US, if it's outside of the US, and then the town and state, obviously. Um, if it's outside of the US, then the city or town and the country. And if it's like Canada, the province. So, like, yeah, um, that information to do the chart so we can take a quick peek and see if the way I do astrology not just works for hearing about Kim's chart, but hearing about your own chart and maybe a question that you'd want answered. So we'll spend between 5 and 10 minutes on that and then spend the rest of the time exploring what specifically you to have from working with me so that we can either go, okay, this is the option that sounded cool to you. Let's explore what that look like. Or if there's an option I don't currently have, but you really want, let me know. So, and coaching wise, there's the relationships, there's doing that self work to find the relationship. There's also working with parents and all the work I've done to like, be kind to myself, especially around parenting stuff, and just brainstorming solutions that work for your specific child and your specific relationship with your child or children. So that's fun for me. So yeah.
Amazing. Go to the link, book a consult with Mara. You will be in awe of what she is able to reflect back to you about you and also support you in developing within your chart and developing those aspects that may be underutilized that you could leverage in your personal relationships or in your relationships with your kids or your relationship with your business and finances as we move into a very interesting dynamic financial time in the next couple of years.
Before you would ask where people find me. So there's my discovery link, but also if you want to hear a little more before booking the discovery link, Instagram, I'm Mara with long red hair because my hair is crazy long. On LinkedIn and on Facebook, I am Mara D. Kaufman because there's a lot of Mara Kaufman. That's also, you'll see it in the link. So if you want more information before, then, and you can also like DM me there. But the link that will be below is a great way to really get that personal time.
And we will have all the links below for Mara's socials so you can connect with her. You can follow her. She has some really interesting perspectives around certain transits that happen and has been posting a lot about that. So stay tuned so that you know what's coming up in this world that we are all living in and also all co-creating. As always, my fellow sovereigns, own your throne, mind your business, because your reign is now. I'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. If what you heard resonated with you, be sure to subscribe and start creating a bigger impact now by sharing this with a friend. Just by doing that one simple act of kindness, you are creating a royal ripple to support more people in their sovereignty. And if you're not already following on social media, connect with me everywhere at crownyourself.now for more inspiration. I am so excited to connect with you in the next episode. And in the meantime, go out there and create a body, business, and life that rules. Because today, you crown yourself.